I paid $45 for this KitchenAid mixer just to see if I could fix it. These go for about $250, so if I can fix it, I could actually make some good money on it. The reason this one goes for so much is because it is the pink breast cancer awareness edition, so it goes for a little bit more than just the regular artisan models. So first things first, let's plug it in and see what it does. All right, plugged in, bowl's attached. It is currently off, and it is currently on. It does absolutely nothing, and it does not smell good from the back. I don't think there's anything going on right now. I think there's just kind of a residual like electrical smell. So I'm gonna get it unplugged. Let's get this back cap off and have a look at it. So I've never actually taken one of these apart. I've watched a lot of videos about them though. I watch Mr. Mixer on TikTok. So if you like these types of videos, go check him out. He's got a lot of great videos on these things. Now does that just, oh, it totally does. Something on the bottom okay, there we go. Oh, we got some, maybe just oil coming out of this thing. But actually it doesn't look bad back here. Let me get a better view of it for you. So we got this brown liquid just kind of like everywhere on this thing. I don't know if that has anything to do with what's going on inside of it, but I know these have a lot of grease inside of them, but the grease should be thicker than this, so I don't think that's what this is from. Okay, there's contacts there. I don't see anything crazy yet. I'm gonna try and spin this fan in here and see if that's, oh yeah. Motor spins freely. For sure, no problem there. I'm not totally sure how this system works. So we have power coming in over here, and then power going down, it looks like down to the motor from over here. And then this plate somehow regulates the brake and power right there. So if I push this down, that'll push this plate up and it will remove the contact from here and here, so then those don't make contact anymore. Not sure what that's for, but, and then we have an adjusting screw over here. Apparently I need to watch more Mr. Mixer videos because I don't know what that's for. Okay, I need some way to stabilize this so I can plug it in and make sure there's power getting up to here. All right, so we've got this plugged in, got our probes on AC power. Let's see if we're getting power in here. Yep, 120 volts. Okay, so my next theory is that there's a problem with this switch, and I'll show you why. So number one, this fluid is just kind of like leaking out all over the place. Number two though, this switch, like it feels funny. Oh, is that what? Yeah, okay. So this affects that back there. So it doesn't like stay here. I don't know if it's supposed to stay back like this, but oh, there we go. Okay, so this switch adjusts where that is, where that plate, how that plate sits on here. But I'm thinking with all this fluid leaking out of here, we might have a problem down in this switch somewhere. And just after saying that, I'm realizing I'm not sure there is much of a switch down here. I think there's just a mechanical connection from this down to this back plate over here. Because as I move the switch, that plate moves. So I think there's not actually any sort of electrical switch down here. I think it's all back here. But I don't see anything that would cause a problem because there should be power from here through here. This stays connected the whole time. So I don't think that would be a problem. Also though, like, I don't know if that's what is supposed to turn this off, is pushing this switch all the way to the off position. Maybe is supposed to open these contacts, and it totally does not. I don't know. But I think what we need to do is take this thing apart further. You know what they say, when in doubt, take more screws out. So after looking at this a little bit more, I'm starting to understand what's going on. And after watching a few more Mr. Mixer videos, I'm understanding it even more. So this little plate right here that I can pry up, that is actually a governor. So there's little weights down here, and once the motor starts spinning a certain speed, it can actually pull this plate up and make it so the contacts release or don't connect anymore, and I'm assuming that just stops the mixer. So the other thing is that this adjustment screw right here is adjusted all the way in, and I feel like it should not be adjusted all the way in because there's some contacts over here, which I didn't see the first time because of how it was angled, but we can see now. These contacts right here, these contacts never close no matter where the speed is at or where the control level for the speed is at. Those contacts move further apart, but they never actually close, and I think those have to be closed for it to actually start the mixer. So I'm thinking maybe if we loosen this, that will allow those contacts to actually close. And it looks like it is doing that. And that is, so that's off, and that is on. It looks like I need to adjust this out a little bit more even. So those contacts are closed there. Okay. I don't know if that, I'm not sure if that's how that's supposed to work. I feel like, so with the control knob all the way back, it opens those connectors, those contacts, but then they just close again because the speed control is under pressure from that spring. So it just pulls it back to right there. Maybe I should move this in just a little bit so those stay disconnected, and then we move it to 1, and then they connect. Okay, let's try it and see what happens. So here we go, let's plug it in. Nothing yet. Okay, let's move this. Ah, still not. I thought for sure that was gonna fix it. Nothing. And actually looking at that, it looks like those contacts are still not contacting. So I'm gonna unplug it. Let's move this screw out more. Okay, now we'll plug it in again and see what happens. Nothing. Okay, I think I am going to get one of these speed plates ordered, speed control plates. I don't know what they're called. Ordered, so we can replace that because I don't trust those contacts. But clearly there is something else also going on here. I think what I want to do is remove the brushes and have a look in there. I am worried about all the liquid coming out of this thing. So let's do that and see how the brushes look. And of course, just more fluid, just kind of all over the side of this thing. I do want to remove this band too and check under it. But let's get this brush out first. And it looks like somebody's been into this, so no surprise there. I'm gonna use my largest bit. Oh yeah, that's not even on there tight. Okay. And whew, that is definitely worn, but I mean, I don't think that's worn too much. And if we shine a light down in there, it's kind of hard to get the light just right, but I don't see any problems down there. Actually looks all pretty clean. So I actually So I don't think there's much of a problem at all there. Now let's check the other brush. And same thing. That actually looks pretty good. So I don't think that's a problem either. Next, let's remove this band, just so we can get a better idea of how much fluid is leaking out of this thing. Got one screw on this side, one screw on the other side, and we should be able to get it off. All right. Oh, look at that. So much grossness going on under that band. Okay, well, we'll have to get that cleaned up. Let me get most of it now with my paper towel. I think what I'm gonna need to do here is remove this whole top head here, because I think there's probably something else going on in here that we're not able to see. But let's get this, I just want to get this cleaned up so it's not getting grossness all over my work table here. That's a lot of fluid built up on this thing. I don't know what's normal, but that seems excessive. The nice thing is this band actually looks to be in pretty good condition, so that's the good thing. I don't know if that fluid has anything to do with why it's not working, but it wouldn't surprise me if it did. But also it could be just kind of grease remnants that don't really matter. Okay. Now I'm gonna get these parts ordered. Let's get this whole top piece taken off once I figure out how, and then we can see if there's anything going on inside there. Now, one of the things I just realized is that these brushes actually have to go in a certain way. So there's this little ground off part, and that's got to go inside there a certain way in order for it to contact the motor. So okay, and there's a little groove in the square guide that is right on the top left corner. So I'm going to put that back in like that. So this ground off part needs to go in that top left corner. So it is in there like that now. So let's put this back on. Then we'll see if we have any power. Whoa! Okay, so apparently the brushes were in there wrong. Also, we got some sort of problem with this power, or this speed controller here, because I have to hold it over to the left in order to keep it from moving. Okay, let's get it unplugged. So this mixer didn't work because somebody removed one of the brushes, maybe both of them, it didn't put them back in correctly. Okay, so we got to figure out this speed controller thing. Let's get that adjusted. Again, readjusted, I guess. So you can see how those connectors are connected right now, or the contacts. They need to be like that when it's in the off position. So I do need to screw this in more. Okay, right there. That's mix, and then these are the other speeds. So that is off, and that's mix. Okay, I think that looks good from here. Put it in the off position, then we'll plug it back in and see what happens. Okay, plugging in, it should not turn on right now. And it doesn't. Speed 1. Okay. I still feel like that's not right, but it is working how it's supposed to. Speed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It does not sound good inside. It sounds pretty rough inside, so I think we still need to take this thing apart, have a look at the inside, and see if we can get that a little quieter. That is super loud. But that was actually a super easy fix. I think two things. I think the brushes were in wrong, and then I also think that we needed to adjust it here in the back. So far, not a difficult fix, but I would like this thing to run even better and sound quieter. So let's get inside of it and see if we can figure that problem out. All right, and now the next step is to get this silver ring off right here. So I'm gonna use a flathead screwdriver, and it's kind of come apart right there anyway, so I'm just gonna give it a little tap. Oh, that's coming off. Okay, great. Let's go a little bit more. I don't wanna tap too hard or with too much of an angle because it'll scrape the paint off in there. Okay, that was actually pretty easy. And that is really gross inside. So we'll need to be giving that a good cleaning. Okay, now, this is gonna be one of the hardest parts, I believe. I need to get this pin out right here. I do have a punch that will fit that, so that's what we're gonna try. Let's see if it comes out. I think maybe we're getting it slowly. Woo! That is in there. Super tight. I wonder if it can come out either way. I think it can. I don't know for sure though. All right, let's just keep going here. I thought once I kind of loosened it, it would come out a little easier, but... I mean, I think it's coming. It's just a little bit more difficult than I thought it would be. Oh, don't want to do that. Just hit the side of the mixer with my hammer. Need to be a little more careful here. It is definitely coming out. It's just very slow. I really don't want to put this thing back in. Okay, it's coming easier. Oh, getting my punch stuck in there. That's no good. Okay, can we get it out the rest of the way? Need a punch with a more narrow shank, I think it's called. There we go, that'll work. Okay, did that do it? There we go. Okay, there's the pin. That was in there very tight, but we got it out. Okay, now, this planetary should come straight down. I'm trying to decide if I should just pull it off like this or actually pull it straight down. Let's pull it straight down. All right, so I'm gonna wiggle and pull, kind of twist and pull. And it is not coming off. It's loose. I'm gonna pry a little bit, not a lot. That doesn't want to come off at all. Oh, here we go. We're getting it. Feel like this should be easier. There we go. Almost got it. Oh, getting it. Come on. There we go. And that is some gross looking grease. Okay, set that there. Now, we need to get all of these screws off right under here. There's 2 screws here and 2 screws in the back. And I need to get some gloves on because this is gonna get gross, I think. Okay, so these 5 screws, I think 5, come off first. Just stuck my screwdriver up in the grease. Don't need to get it that dirty. I'm actually gonna get a bigger screwdriver. I think that'll help. There we go. Now, I could actually use my iFixit screwdriver bit set, but I don't want to get it dirty. Which is kind of ridiculous to say about tools, but that's the truth. All this grease, I mean, this is just gonna get gross. So, just gonna use, these are actually brand new screwdrivers. I bought a cheap toolkit, kind of like a house repair toolkit for the office here. And so, that's what I'm using. And these look to be all the same size, so that's nice. Okay, last one here. Then we've got 4 more. 2 right here. I don't think these have to come off in any particular order. 1. I'm being careful not to scratch the paint as I do this, but hopefully I can actually manage to not scratch it. I'm actually going to switch to the smaller screwdriver just to make that less likely. These screws aren't in here super tight, so it's easy to use a small screwdriver. And 1 more right here. Okay. Now that that's done, put that down here. I'm going to remove the power cord from this little kind of detent thingamajigger right here. And apparently it's wrapped around my chair. Okay. All right. I feel like I might need to remove all these wires too. Maybe not. Actually, maybe not, because they just all go in here, so I think I'm good. All right, now, this should come off of here, I think. Definitely doesn't want to yet. Okay, it is loose though. Okay, here it comes. Here it comes. Oh my goodness. Look at that grease. That's disgusting. Wow, yeah. Look at how this just kind of turned, it kind of separated. The oil kind of separated out of the grease there. Oh, that smells terrible. I don't know if any of you have ever worked on like a car engine that had really old nasty oil or anything else that had old nasty grease in it. That's exactly what this smells like. I don't see any major damage though, so that's the good news. Okay, now I think it's just a matter of removing all this nasty grease, and then we can put new grease in. So here we go. Not sure the best way to do this. I need to get a bag to put all these, I'm gonna put it on paper towels, put it in a bag, and then I can throw it away. All right, I'm gonna have to film this in kind of like one long take because I don't want to get my remote nasty. Should probably get my tools out of the way now because this is gonna get gross. Okay, I think the best thing is just dig in with my hands and get started. Here we go. Look at that. Just a big chunk of it. It's not distributing in here how it should or anything. It's just so old and kind of separated and more solid than it should be for sure. Wow. This is, even with how gross it actually is kind of satisfying, honestly. Really not sure how we're going to get this that clean because there's just so much in here. Okay, that's the first paper towel full. Okay. And next. Just got it all over the paper towel. I'd really like to prevent it getting all over my workbench. But I'm not sure the chances of that happening. I'm probably going to have it even like all over on my face and in my hair by the time I'm done. I know how these things go. All right. So I'm going to leave this paper towel here, grab another one, and start going around with the paper towel and getting in all the little crevices a little bit. Oh yeah, that's working great. A little bit better here. Oh yeah, I can turn this too. That's going to help a lot. All right, so for the gears, I'm going to take a spudger, go through here and just get each one of these grooves cleaned out. Okay, let's go around, get some more out from over here. Man, there's just so much grease and it's just in every little groove inside here. I feel like probably a good way to clean this out would have to be maybe not pressure wash. I feel like a steam cleaner would get it out really well. I don't know, maybe pressure wash, although that would get obviously liquid all over inside here, which probably isn't ideal, but man, to really get this grease out, I don't know, that might be the best way to do it. Okay, I have my gloves clean enough to press the remote to stop filming. This is getting close to being done. I mean, I've got a lot to do still, but I'm not gonna show the rest of this part on camera because that's just gonna get too boring. And then I also need to clean off the inside of this over here. So I'm gonna get that done and then we'll come back once I'm done, have a look, and then apply the new grease. So this is looking pretty good. Mr. Mixer, what do you think? I know when I watch his videos, they're definitely cleaner than this, but I feel like this is looking pretty good. Just gonna go through and get any residue, any more of the residue grease off. Now, one thing I wanna do for sure is make sure we go around here and get any of this brownness off from where the liquid from the grease, when the liquid separated, it kind of discolored this here, kind of leaked all over the place and discolored this. And I don't really care other than the fact that it kind of like seeps out the edge and then you can see it. So if we clean it off here, then even when this mixer gets really warm, it won't seep through. So that's why I want to do that. Also, for around this part, this is where the gasket seals. So I want to make sure that this is nice and clean because if there's grease here, obviously the gasket won't be able to seal anything. So that's the other reason we need to do this, especially around this part of it. This is turning into a Restore-ish video, I feel like, with all the cleaning I'm doing on this thing. But it needs it, and it's going to make it look so much better when we're done. Knowing that it's clean on the inside and the outside is going to feel really good too. Okay, we're looking pretty good on this one. I'm going to use a Q-tip with some IPA and just get some of this grease that I couldn't reach very well. I want to make sure, especially anything that's like kind of liquid still, I want to make sure and really soak that all up. So then when we put the new grease in, there's not liquid leaking out anywhere. Oh, I found a big old pocket of grease, but I didn't know there was grease back there like that. All right, well, that's good we found that. Well, we're finding more grease, unfortunately, but it's good I'm finding it now just so then we can get rid of it. I don't think we need like all the grease out of here, but just want to make sure the vast majority is out. Okay, I feel like that is looking pretty good. Now we need to clean up this part and then this part over here. Actually, I'm not going to show that on camera. I think I've showed probably enough cleaning, but I'll show you when I'm all done. There we go. That's pretty clean. I think we're almost ready to put this thing back together. I do want to clean around this edge though, make sure that's all clean because that's the gasket mating surface too. So I'm going to get that done, and then it's almost time to put the new grease in. Now before we put this thing together, this needs to be addressed. This handle right here is like bent up, and so that makes it so it doesn't actually stay over here very well. It kind of slips around and it's not very tight on there because there's a bend in it right there. So I did get a new piece, so let's get that installed and see if that fixes that little problem. Now I've never actually installed one of these before, but it looks like there's just a screw here and then a pin right there. So theoretically, this just comes up like this. Okay, good so far. And then this comes out like that. Now I want to clean this while I have that off, because it's kind of gross. All right, much better. Now the new arm, just go in this pin like that, and then we'll go about right there, and we'll put the screw and the washer back in. That already looks so much better. Gotta make sure we don't misthread this screw. Okay, I think we're good. Don't know how. I feel like it's pretty tight. Let's loosen this just a little bit. I mean, that's amazing. It stays right where it should. No problems at all. Ah, that's so good. This thing is going to be so cool when it's all the way done. Okay, now with that on, I think we're ready to put the grease in and then put this thing all back together. And I do need to remember to install this. There's been more than once working on something in my life where I forgot to put the gasket in. Ah, I can't stop moving this. That just feels so good, just how it's supposed to. So this is the old one. I think this one actually might have bent in shipping when they shipped it out to me from being hit. I could be wrong, but that's kind of what it seems like. It's got a bend just right there. So anyway, let's get the grease in this thing, the gasket in, and then get this thing together and start it up and see how it sounds. Now, before I start regreasing this, I did want to mention that you can actually take this apart even more. You can remove this whole piece, and then you can also remove this gear right here. Looking at these gears are in super good condition. There's actually not any wear marks at all on this gear, or the gear down there, or this gear, or this gear. So I'm not gonna take it apart any further than it is right now, because there's just so little wear. These are in really good condition, so I'm not worried about that at all. Now the one thing I do wanna do though is remove this gear entirely. There we go. That's what plugs into attachments and stuff like that when you plug in attachments. So we can clean this out really well, both on here and inside the machine. The other thing that I do have to say is I'm not noticing any metal shavings or anything crazy like that going on inside this machine. That's the other reason I'm not too worried about getting everything perfectly clean, because this machine seems to be in actually really nice condition. Obviously it has been used, I just feel like it hasn't been used like a ton. So okay, there we go. And I've already torn my gloves. Nice work. Now let's get the new grease put on. This should be the fun part. This is very thick grease. I'm gonna mix it. It's pretty mixed. Okay, well, we just smear it on, I guess. Seems to be taking pretty well. Oh yeah. This is oddly fun and satisfying, honestly. Now I got to make sure to keep this clean over here, so I don't want to get so much caked on that it Oh, just like I just did. Come on. Man. I got to pay attention here. I have to clean that up here in a minute. I hope this is actually a lot quieter when I'm done. That'd be a bummer if it wasn't. There's a lot of grease here, so I'm just going to kind of pack this thing full of it. Okay, now, I guess I can do this guy next. Put a little bit of grease on the shaft here. Put it back in. A bunch will squish out, which is fine. Then we'll put it on all the gears. Okay, looking good. Not sure if the goal is to use up this whole container or not. I feel like I probably should use most, if not all of it. It's just so much grease, but these do take a lot, I guess, so let's pack some more around here. Also, when this thing, gets warm when you're using it, then this grease will kind of flow all around where it needs to be, so don't have to worry too much about getting it right wherever it needs to be. Okay, that is looking great so far. Do want to make sure put some right here on this guy. This little gear right here. Okay. Okay, I think I will probably pack more in here, but I want to get this gasket around here first, before I forget. So I got that all cleaned off around the edge there. Now, need to put this on without getting a bunch of grease on it. There we go. Okay, and how's that look? All right, pretty good. Okay, we got tons of grease everywhere. I think that is looking pretty good. I think now we can flip this over and install it back on the top. Can't think of any reason why that's not the thing to do right now, but while I'm saying it, I feel like there's something else we need to do, but I don't think there is, so I'm just gonna do it, and hopefully there's nothing else. Okay, here we go. We're gonna go just right down on the top. See, that pin goes in there. Come on. All these gears got to line up in here, so. I feel like we need to, there we go. There we go, got it. Okay. All right, great. Now, we can flip this up and start installing these screws. All right, but I need to move this back over here so we can see our screws. Okay, one over here, One of these has a washer and the other one doesn't. I feel like that's probably not how it's supposed to be. But also, maybe it is, I don't know. I'm not gonna fully tighten these yet. I wanna make sure everything has gone together how it needs to be. Make sure all the gears have meshed together and just make sure there's no issues there. So I'm gonna put all the screws in and then kind of tighten them, not all at once, but kind of like one at a time. There is a bunch of grease under this screw hole right here. That's where a lot of it was leaking out clearly. Imagine the person that owned this, there would have been grease like getting into all their food. Okay, that's cleaned out nicely. Now we can put these screws back in. There we go. That's feeling pretty good. And while I was putting these screws in, I noticed we need to clean out under here too. Always more cleaning out of grease, it seems like, on this one. Okay, those are all nice and tight. I'm going to use a bigger screwdriver now. Get a better grip on them and make sure they're tightened up really well. I want to make sure that gasket is sealed well. Yeah, there we go. Okay. That's feeling really good. Okay, so I got to get the grease cleaned out of here, and then we can put new grease in, and then put this cap on with the little gear on it. Try and rotate this so it's easier to see. All right. Now I'm going to replace this cardboard washer that was up on here. The old one is really gross, really just oily and nasty. Okay. Now, obviously, we need to do a little more cleaning. I want to make sure this is clean up here. I guess this I can do afterward, but I guess I'm right here. I might as well just do some of it now. There's more oil leaked all around here. This is where the little silver band goes, so I should be fine. I shouldn't need to do it now. All right, so now we've got our grease on our little pinion gear here. Now I need to put grease all on the inside of here, and then we can reinstall this part here. I do want to make sure that the edge of this is clean though. So, got to get all this grease off of it. It's really hard to get all the grease where you want it and not where you don't want it. Okay. This is looking good. All right, good. Now let's put some grease on the inside of this ring gear up here. Okay, that's looking good. We used up almost all the grease. Don't think it's important that we use it all up because we got grease on everything inside this thing. And I want to clean up just a little bit. I don't think this is like a super important seal here, but I do want to make sure that that is cleaned up a bit. Okay, now it's time to put this piece on right here. So I'm going to go up here and then just kind of twist it around till we get it to kind of slide into place. Come on, there we go. Okay, now I need to line up this hole with that pin right there. Almost there. Oh, actually, I have to put those screws in first. What am I even doing? Okay. Now all that we just did, we need to undo. Come on. All right. Almost. Come on. There we go. Now let's get those screws in, and then we can get that piece on. Now we can put this guy on. There we go. Now I need to line up the pin. All right. That is looking really close. That's like basically perfect. I'm gonna make sure this is nice and clean through there, so we can get any gunk out of there. Whoops. Use some BW100 to spray through there. There we go. Okay, and now we get to put in this pin that is so difficult to get in. Okay, I think what we're gonna do, let's go from this side. Just pounding very carefully. Okay. Now we'll use our punch and hammer, see if we can punch this thing in. Actually, no reason to have this thing raised up like this. Might as well set it down where you can actually see what I'm doing, right? Okay, hopefully you guys can see. All right, now we need to punch this guy in. Okay, got it. That wasn't too bad. Okay. Okay, and it does turn. That's good. Nothing's seized up or anything. That's what I like to see. All right, great. Okay, what do we have left? We need to install this band, but before that we need to clean this all up really well. So we need to do that. Need to clean up a little bit of excess grease right here. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna clean up the band, get this part cleaned up, and then we can put this band up there. All right, and there's a lot of grossness in here. A lot of just kind of like oil, grease, pieces of food probably. We need to clean this all up nicely. This is turning out pretty good. There's a lot of just kind of gunk in here. You can see all these Q-tips I'm getting just with all the junk on them. It's cleaning up nicely though. This is gonna look really good. Yep, there's not much more left there. Now let's get this inner ring here, because a bunch of that I think spilled over. Imagine like, yeah, kind of like I was saying earlier, like using this thing and like your food when you're done making it has like grease in it. That seems not ideal. Here's some cake with a side of grease. Okay. Now I gotta do this outside bit. This is looking really good though. Nice and clean. Okay. I think that's pretty good. I'm gonna use a paper towel and just rub it all down nicely. Make sure there's no other residue on here. Yeah, we got a little bit off still. Yeah, okay, this is getting pretty clean. Just have this edge right here seems to be where there's still some gunk collected. Okay, that is good. Now I need to clean off the top here. I'm gonna clean off all around the edge right here and underneath while I'm at it. I'm actually gonna use a paper towel with some isopropyl alcohol on it to clean this off down here. And then also along the edge. Go a little bit faster this way than just with cotton swabs. Okay, that's looking pretty good. We have these black marks here that I want to try and remove too while I'm here. I don't know that you can see it on camera very well. So right under here, there's some of these black marks. Try and get it with a Q-tip. I don't know how well that's going to work. Oh yeah, it's coming off slowly. I don't want to use like magic eraser would get it right off, but then it would also create a problem with this nice shiny surface. So I don't want to do that. The only other part I can't really get is right down in that crack right there, but that's looking pretty good. Okay, we're gonna call that good enough. Now I'm just gonna go around this top part here, just get all the gunk off of it so when you put that ring back on, we'll know it's nice and clean under here. The ring's all nice and clean, this is all nice and clean. Now we just gotta get it back on here. I'm trying to think if we should put it kind of like where it was before, or maybe a different place, I don't really know. Oh, that just presses up on there. Okay, nice. Okay, I'm going to... Okay, I'm going to use a paper towel as a guard. Just tap up on this with a hammer very gently. Okay, that actually looks pretty good. It's up there nice and tight, it's nice and clean. All right, let's move on. Next, we need to reinstall this band. Need to clean off the inside of it and then clean off the edge here. I'm not gonna show very much of that. You guys have seen a ton of cleaning in this video already. And actually, it's really not, it's actually getting pretty clean because I've already cleaned a lot of it while I was doing the rest of the work. So I'm gonna do that part off camera and then we'll get it installed on camera. Okay, so it's all clean around here. The band itself is clean. Now we're going to install it over the edge right here. One side is in, the other side is in. Now the 2 screws. All right. Okay, how does that look? I mean, on this side it looks amazing. Yeah, that side looks so good. That's awesome. Okay, now we need to get the rear cap installed. We've got 1 screw there. Obviously, I need to clean part of this, so I'll do that off camera too, and then we'll get that installed. All right, and then this piece kind of grabs on down there. Fits right in there. There we go. Okay. Now there's a screw on top right here. I'm going to try and screw in blind. Oh, mostly blind. I can't see it on my monitor there. All right. And there we go. Is it finally time to test this thing? I think it might be. I do need to clean this up better. It is pretty dirty still, especially down on here. But overall, this thing, for the work we did, it's looking amazing. So I'm gonna get the bowl installed, get the dough mixer attachment on. Let's see if this thing works now. All right, attachment is on, stays on there nicely. Bowl is on. Okay, nothing touches weirdly, that's good. All right, I think we're about ready to plug this thing in and see what happens. Let's do this. It is off. Okay, unfortunately you can't see the controls, but it is off and the mixer's off. The controls are off, the mixer's off. Now we're gonna move to stir. That's what I'm talking about. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And off. And there we go. We got this mixer all fixed up. Thank you for watching it, and I hope you have a good one.